What's up everybody, and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to take a look at this 2023 Dodge Durango SRT Hellcat Black. This one is $97,000, finished in white knuckle. Let's go ahead and take a full look at this muscle SUV. So, pulling that hood latch, let's see what is powering that legendary Hellcat name. So if we just find the catch right in the center and lift it up, of course you're going to already see that massive supercharger. This is a 6.2 liter Hemi V8 with the supercharger for forced induction, pumping out 710 horsepower with 645 pound-feet of torque. Has an 8-speed automatic, all-wheel drive, can do 0 to 60 in 3.6 seconds. And with all of that, it can tow around 8,700 pounds, weighing in at 5,700 pounds. If we move on to the styling, this is one aggressive 3-row family SUV. I love how aggressive everything is. You can see those LED headlights, nice daytime running lights, got some dark gray trim for the entire upper grille, got the SRT logo with that Hellcat badge. Then you have a functional air inlet as well, nice aggressive design for the front bumper, and I like the gloss white color for that full chin spoiler. We have parking sensors, more openings for that front to provide a ton of cooling to the massive engine. It really does come together. Hood also has a lot of aggressive lines. We have the functional heat extraction vents, nice intake duct as well, and then sharp lines and bulges all throughout it, just to make it look like a muscle car that happens to be a 3-row family SUV. At the side profile, that front splitter kind of connects into this fender around the front wheel. Got a nice set of 20-inch wheels, finishing a gunmetal gray, 6-piston Brembo brake caliper, 2-piece front rotors with slots in them, and of course they're ventilated. Got the Hellcat badge once again. Nice aggressive side skirt with more contours throughout the entire side. And then you're going to see the body color on the door handles, gloss black mirror caps with the integrated turn signal, some black trim surrounding the windows as well. And overall the side profile is really nice. This is a 3-row larger SUV. It's not the biggest, it's not as large as a Wagoneer, but nonetheless it's got a sporty proportion, really good profile. You're going to see more sharp lines throughout the side. Nice fender flare in back as well. In back, you don't get the 2-piece rotors, you just have standard ventilator rotors, the slots, and a 4-piston brake caliper. But nonetheless, plenty of stopping power for a massive vehicle. Got the integrated spoiler up on top with a 3rd brake light. And I really like how the LED taillights are all connected. Gives it that modern Dodge look, which is really cool. Got the Durango in 4 on that left side, SRT Hellcat badge. Nice aggressive rear diffuser with the dual black exhaust tips. We have the trailer hitch receiver cover as well. More parking sensors. And then moving on to storage, you can just press that button and we can lift that open very easily. With the 3rd row up, you can still see how much storage space you're going to get. So super practical SUV. There's even hidden storage space. So lifting that up, you can see what kind of space we got. We have the closing button right there. You also have a 12-volt, 2 little anchors, and it's pretty easy to put these down. You can just pull this, and these are going to fold nice and flat. So super easy to do that. Of course, the headrests pop up, and then you can quickly pull them down as well. And then just grabbing the strap, we can easily pull these back in the upwards position. Now, one thing really cool with this vehicle, we do have the red key, which unlocks all of that 700 plus horsepower. We have lock, unlock. You're also going to see, of course, the tailgate release and remote start. So let's take a quick listen to this Hemi. Has a nice rumble to it, as you would expect. And then back to unlocking it, checking out the 2nd row seat. Black door panel, you just have some plastic trim, nice leather material, some controls, and then I really like the interior with the leather in Alcantara. So a really cool spec, SRT is written on it. You have captain's chairs as well, which is a really good touch. And then for the 2nd row, you have a lot of amenities. You can see climate control vents, heated seats, a 3-prong, 2 USB ports. Then there's also cup holders and storage right in the center. If I go ahead and hop into the back right now, so I'm 5'11" with the driver's seat of my height, and I still have plenty of legroom, really good headroom. Up on top, we have air vents, dome lights, climate controls themselves. You have a hook as well. Pretty roomy in here. Armrests do a good job as well, so honestly, a really nice family car. And this can recline to really just add to the comfort. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the third row. So we can go ahead and pull this latch. That's gonna get that down. And then we have the red one back here you can pull and get this up out of the way. So from here you have a really good entry point to get into the third row seating. You have 2 seats back here. Of course you can pop these up. But sitting here now, this is actually a really comfortable seat. There's even climate control vents up on the ceiling with lights, cup holders, good sized windows. And then even sitting behind the seat at 5'11", I still have plenty of leg room. So 4 grown adults can honestly fit in the back of this Durango with ease, and you even have with the captain chairs a little bit of extra leg room. So not a bad place to be for sure. So let's move on to where you really want to be if you're the owner of a Durango Hellcat, which is the driver's seat. So on the door panel, just like you saw in back, you got the leather material, all of your typical controls. It says Supercharged down here. You have power controls, and then another look at the seating surface. Really nice design. I like the way everything is coming together. And then for the steering wheel, nice leather wrapped, kind of a triangle shape down below, which is pretty unique. Let's fire it up. That Hemi roars to life. On the steering wheel, we have some controls on the left, Bluetooth and audio, cruise control on the right. You do have paddle shifters, and then volume and track button on the underside of the steering wheel. For the actual gauge cluster, you can see that massive tack in the center, speedometer on the left, fuel and temperature on the right, and then you can cycle through a few things in the center screen. So you can see some trip information. We can scroll down into more. We also have media icons that will pop up, any messages, and you have more things that will come up, kind of like any Chrysler vehicle. You can see any diagnostic information. And then I really like how there are some performance settings. You can see speedometer, of course, and then different vitals within the car. So a good way to monitor quite a lot of what's going on with your Durango. And then into the SRT one, you can see a few more G-force meter. You'll see lap timers, braking, things like that. So pretty neat to see everything you're gonna get in that screen. Got the SRT badge as well. Stock on the left side for windshield wipers. Headlights are down here. We have one of your air vents, just some rubber material for the dashboard, contrast stitching and some trim. And then I really like this screen, nice up to date. We have a massive home icon. You can see a few things you're able to adjust. You have the navigation. If you go under media, you can see all that popping up. Climate controls with a race car driver, which is really cool to see. Full screen navigation as well. Phone integration as expected. And then under vehicle, we have performance pages, so you can view a lot of the dynamics. You have the G-force meter, engine dyno and gauges, and then a timer. If we go back into here and go into drive modes, you're able to adjust all of that on the top screen. You're able to see everything you're able to adjust within this car. And then going under this one, we have our launch control as well. And then you can see dashboard, we have controls, third row headrest you can lower, the camera, and then you have settings that you're able to take a look at. If I go under apps, you have all the apps you would expect. You can kind of just scroll through all sorts of different things. And then putting it into reverse, we have a nice size backup camera, good HD graphics, all of your guidelines and everything. And then underneath all that, we have our heated and ventilated seat buttons, basically the physical climate controls. I do like the redundancy, so you can use it on the screen or physically. Volume and tuning, fan speed, and different controls in the center. And then there's more shortcuts down below here on these toggles. We have our SRT icon you can toggle. That'll put it back into this screen to adjust your different drive modes. Launch control, parking sensors, traction control. We have some auxiliaries, wireless charging and storage. Nice leather shift boot along the shifter. Ambient lighting for the cup holders with more storage. And then 2 different storage areas in the center. So popping that, you have a pretty good amount of space. And then of course a good sized glove box. One last look at the interior. Nothing too up to date or fancy or anything new. However, this is still a nice place to be. I like the center screen. Pretty decent use of materials, but cool place to be. No sunroof on this spec, but we have garage door openers, our tailgate release. We also have a sunglass holder, and then your mirror. All right, guys, we are setting off now in the Hellcat. Obviously, short shifting, not trying to go crazy in this car. This thing is fast, especially when you realize you are in a true 3-row family SUV. I'm barely giving it gas, short shifting, and this thing gets up to 60. I've been thinking, I've driven a 1,000 horsepower Jeep Trackhawk before, and that was just like my old 700 horsepower GTR. So these things are pretty darn quick, especially when you take into consideration this is a real SUV. It's not just a little crossover. This thing's big. The transmission and drive modes do a pretty good job as well. It is pretty fun to drive this car, honestly. Gosh, it sounds so good. You hear the whine of that supercharger, and there is just a thunderous exhaust back there. On the upshifts, it pops and bangs a little bit. It hits you in the back. There is so much drama and character driving this car. So we're just in the sport mode. I like how you can quickly access all that. Track mode, of course, stiffens up everything a little bit more, turns traction control off. The drive modes are actually pretty cool. It's still a big SUV, so you know there's some body roll to it. But you can tell the transmission's snappy. The suspension is pretty rigid too. Gosh, it sounds so incredibly good. This is a really cool combination of everything. If you love muscle cars, but you got a family, I mean, what can you not do in a Durango Hellcat? It's pretty sweet. Gosh, you just want to rip on this thing. It is addicting. I want to go so crazy in this car. So sport mode tones down a little bit of things, maybe a little bit better for street use on a freezing cold day. Then you go into automatic mode and everything. Car tones down a little bit. Still is like a bigger SUV. There's still some weight to the steering. However, it loosens up a little bit now in the auto mode. Overall, for like a normal car, there still is a Durango. It's still pretty comfortable, roomy. You have a huge windshield, a huge hood, pretty good visibility overall, looking over your left and right shoulders. So it's a pretty useful vehicle that you can drive easily. It is on the bigger side. Again, it's not a Wagoneer, so it's not super big, but it's got a good footprint. So in automatic mode, it does like to rev out quite a lot. I almost thought I was still in manual mode, but this engine seems to just want to rev, and even in automatic mode, barely giving a gas, it wants to kind of rev higher. So if you drive it very conservatively, it will also drive conservatively, but if you get on it just a little bit, the car really starts to sharpen up and wants to be pushed harder. I like how you do have the snow mode and the tow mode if you're doing, obviously, those type of circumstances. Being all-wheel drive, you know, this still is a super useful, usable utility vehicle. I think they've done a good job to where they're not sacrificing. You're getting that muscle car, that Hellcat motor in this big SUV, but you're still getting a useful vehicle. You can tow with it, you can do the normal stuff. So you don't always have to drive this car like a Hellcat. So I like that aspect. With that said, in sport mode, there is so much drama to even short shifting. That is so cool. But yeah, I like how it doesn't have sacrifices. It's roomy and comfortable in here. You're definitely high up. It's a big SUV. You got all the space you can need all around, good storage solutions. And the tech is actually surprising. This screen, I haven't really driven a Durango. I don't even know the last time I've been in one of these. This new screen that Chrysler's been using is fantastic. You get everything you need. It's really easy to use as well. I like just how big the tiles are to where you're not like stumbling to find all the icons. And the fact that you always have physical climate controls down here is a really big plus. So I think they've done a good job making this super useful, like I said, but also you have so much fun factor when you're playing with this SUV. So it's really, really cool just to see what you can do with something like this. Normally big jumbo SUVs are boring. Honestly, they're just family haulers, but not from Dodge when they stick a supercharged V8. I mean, this thing is anything but boring. It is honestly just a blast. Gosh, when you're in it, you just want to push it harder and harder. Now again, it's like 30 degrees outside. With the all-wheel drive, it's going to give you that confidence and stability, which is really cool. It has a lot of weight to it, so I would assume this is a vehicle that you can get on year-round, use this as an all-season vehicle, and enjoy the power plant. You know, when I had my GTR, all-wheel drive, very high horsepower, could use it all the time. In a Hellcat, Dodge Charger, Challenger, you know, the rear-wheel drive really gets out. So with this one, it really gives you that all-weather use and the actual usability. So it's a really cool blend. I am enjoying this quite a lot. It'll be interesting to see a new generation of this if something comes out, but this thing is pretty epic. and might be the last chance to buy a muscle car SUV. Nothing really competes with what this has to offer unless you spend another 50 grand and get an Escalade V, but this thing is pretty sweet. Definitely put it on your list if you want a muscle SUV.